and when he wanted to sell Guyana out to the Venezuelan, that flatfoot hustler. Well, I wasn't referring in this sense to Jermaine Figueroa. It's Barra Jagdeo, the biggest threat to Guyana. They're not concerned about unity. They're not concerned about any external threat or whatever. They just want to pomposette themselves as they prepare for elections in 2025. They don't care. They're done sell out Guyana. One set of family, controversial Mohammedans, they got 80,000 acres of land. 80,000 acres of land. They have given away to Sioux. Tom Anderson is going to be with us, mind you. He knows all about Sioux. In fact, he knows a lot about a lot in Guyana. And so Jagdeo and all of these people can talk about who got it unified. Of course, people got it unified, but not when the PPP say unified. They didn't care about any sort of unity when they did this to the people of Mocha. They don't care. Who is it that say Michael Jackson? All I want to do is say they don't really care about something like that, man. All I want to do is that really they don't really care about something like that, right, Tom? Something like that. All I want to say is that they don't really care about. That's what's going on. So if you want people to fight at the border, rung them up. Go take Azruddin. Azruddin is ready to fight. Oh yeah, look at that weapon. He's ready to fight. Ready. These are the big bad wolves. Ready. Send them on the border. Send them and go on the border. Let them fight. Broke up the circus right now and send the clowns and let them fight. Tom, good night to you, sir. Sorry that we got to show you how Guyanese behave, man. And every single time you're on this show, you got to see this of Guyana. How are you doing, sir? Good night and welcome.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for having me on again. A lot to talk about, man. A lot going on as usual.
That's right now. Right. This is about operating. Show. Made it some technical hopefully we'll get to that.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Good night. Good night, Shondell. Mark got a black. He's going to come back in. He'll be back.
Blackout indeed. Thank you so much. The thing is, we didn't pay the bill in Guyana. Blackout, right? That's what it is, blackout. But I just wanted to wish this guy a speedy recovery. I'm sure you probably may have heard of him. If not, it's okay. But we heard he's all over social media. Doggy, that's his name. He lost a couple of teeth, and we just want to wish him a speedy recovery. Someone sent this here, and we wish Doggy a speedy recovery. I don't know. He's very close to the Mohammed, so we hope that Mohammed, they will pull up and have their dentist take care of his teeth, right? So I don't know how he reached there, but our operator put him up there. Doggy, 3 teeth. That's all right. Speedy recovery, Doggy. But on a serious note, let's talk about this situation here. This is a cartoon, Mr. Anderson. A cartoon in the Guyana Stabrook News. Melissa Atwell. This is what's going on. Look at this cartoon. Take a look at this cartoon. In my opinion, it is distasteful. What is your take, please, Tom?
Yeah, that's a pretty that's a mean cartoon, man, and it has a lot of there's a lot in there that's it's unfortunate actually, but it goes to show you that whatever was plotted and whatever they were trying to do with Melly Mel, it didn't work right. So it didn't work right. So now they're doing cartoons, and no one's allowed to talk about this. By the way, I'm surprised we're talking about this tonight, Mark. No one's allowed to talk about this. We have to pretend that this is just your run of the mill, typical immigration issue. Okay, she forgot to fill out some paperwork, so now she's in trouble, and that's all this is about. So I don't know, I don't know why we're talking about this, Mark. I don't know why they're doing cartoons like this when it's just an immigration issue. That's all it is.
Yep, exactly. And every single thing they're trying to, I don't know what this is supposed to be an independent newspaper, this Tabrook News, with this racist cartoon. Take a look at, look at what they say, Louisiana immigration and customs enforcement. And then they have the opposition there like a puppet. And then said, no, no panic, no panic. And then next, and there she is going into the courtroom. And this is what you call journalism. This is what you call cartoon. Shame on the Stabrook News. Shame on them. But still on the course of Melly Mel, what's happening? Her case moved from one judge. In fact, the master hearing was set for June, but it's no longer now in June. It's next Friday in front of a different judge. What's your take, sir? What's happening?
Yeah, well, clearly the PPP, I believe, looking at what's going on here, right? They got their hands caught in a cookie jar. And this is proof of the power of social media, really, because as soon as she was detained and sent down to Louisiana, there was a social media outpouring, and it went from her, being possibly deported to now she's seeing a regular old run of the mill immigration judge, and she's probably going to have to answer a few questions and, pay some bail and be out of there. So, what started off being something really, really big, social media jumped in, people started going crazy over it, and all of a sudden, the PPP realized, oh, this is a problem, and so they backed off, and everyone's backed off, and now she's going to go back home and deal with whatever paperwork issues there are in front of her. Is what it looks like to me.
All right, and optimism, rising optimism that she will be sent to New York with her son and her mother and her husband and other relatives and friends. But the PPP doesn't want that. And Jagdeo is trying to play it down as though, oh, he was told, that soft, wicked voice like. Of course, he couldn't be in the dark with all these things that's happening, right, Tom?
No, he knows. They know. Like, look, this is the case of the dog that didn't bark, right? So they have meetings with the Department of Energy head. They've had talks with Rubio and the Secretary of State, over issues like the Cuban physicians that are in Guyana, and Rubio trying to force them all back to Cuba for whatever reason, whatever he's up to. And so there's all this going on, and you've got Jagdeo saying they've got a special relationship with the American government and everything. And he even made some comments that, oh, if they send her back, we'll welcome her back and stuff. He was saying that kind of stuff. So he knew, they knew, and they thought that they had an easy one here. And it turned out that no, it wasn't that easy. It turned out that the opposition took advantage of the situation, rightfully so, and started to attack the PPP over this. And they noticed that, oh, this could turn into an international incident very, very quick. I'm sure behind the scenes, there were members of the media in the United States, like from the New York Times, who were making phone calls about this. Because if you look at the lobbying firm that they just hired, the PPP, that same lobbying firm was hired by the Haitian government. Okay. So whatever's happening with the PPP, it's also happening with Haiti. If you look at Haiti and what's happening there and how they're treating their people, doesn't look too good, right? So I guess, they need the same type of representation in DC, is some type of lobbying firm that can help them while they do the corruption and the abuses and make it seem like that they're not that bad, right? So that's what it looks like is going on. They got their hands caught in a cookie jar, and now they've called it all off. They want to pretend like like nothing has happened. We should even talk about this, and that's fine because Melly Mel gets to go home now. She should have never been detained to begin with. But these guys tried it; it didn't work. So now we're back to what it was before. Except now, Melly Mel's going to have a lot to say. She's probably going to be really, really angry. So it's going to be interesting to hear what she has to say once she's out and she's able to talk again.
When you say head back to her beautiful house in New York with her son, her mother, her husband, her close relatives and friends. And this was definitely going to get the last laugh. But we have some pacus, as we would say in Guyana, some pacus. You notice this pacu here is saying Atwell in ICE custody because immigration policy is not PPPC government. These pacus, they just don't get it. But then again, pacus usually have to sing for their supper. Did you get a chance? I know we spoke sometime during the course of the day. Did you get a chance to watch that comedy show today with Jagdeo?
Yeah, man, the Jagdeo press conference, it's a little worrisome. I watched the entire thing, like 2 hours long. And what's so scary?
Tom, I'm surprised. 2 hours you watched that comedy?
I watched the whole thing, man. And here's what's scary about it, right? He is totally, he's so dead set on creating a reality that isn't real for the world to hear when he does his press conference, that he really believes the stuff. And so he's off in some place that doesn't exist, man. That press conference was full of stuff that just wasn't true. Bald-faced lies. I mean, just amazing. Just
let's touch on one thing. We know it's just a pack of lies. Comedy, nonstop. Comedy. Now, one thing that was a lie that came out of Jagdeo's comedy show today.
Okay, so one of the big things I'm looking at Yuli North. Exactly, I do, Yuli, I do. That's a good observation. I'm sorry, looking at the comments. And hey, Cole, Commissioner Cole, how are you?
But Yuli North is correct. When you said that you watched that comedy show with Jagdeo for 2 hours, right. I felt the pain right here. I felt your pain.
It was bad. I know it's really hard.
It's comedy, man. It's comedy. And let me apologize. Let me apologize for him embarrassing Guyana the way that he Jagdeo. He embarrasses that country every single day.
It was scary, man. But the one thing that really got me was when he was talking about how the opposition and people are bringing up May Thomas. And that she's, that they're pointing her out and saying, hey, she's a part of the PPP. She's a government official. She got sanctioned by the U.S. government for corruption. So that proves that there's corruption right there inside the PPP, right? And so what he said was that that's not true. That what's going on with May Thomas, it's nothing to do with anything in Guyana. It has nothing to do with corruption. It's a 100% American, a United States thing, and that's an issue they have with her and her visa. But that's all that it is, and that's just factually not true. Like, she is sanctioned. Our Treasury Department sanctioned her, and they sanctioned her for being a corrupt government official of the Guyanese government, period. And what she was doing was she was helping the Mohammeds do things like get gold smuggled out of the country in exchange for gifts to her and money and other things to her. This is from the United States government. This is what the U.S. government is saying, that they have proof of, that she was taking part of bribery. And not only that, but because she was such a powerful person within the government, she had the ability to sign off contracts to the Mohammeds without anyone else overseeing it. She had the ability to make other people within the government do things for the Mohammeds. She had the ability to help them get weapons permits for weapons into the country. So that gun that you see next to Azruddin, that gun, that probably came because she provided him the license for that. And that's one of the reasons why she's sanctioned. So she's literally sanctioned. And so Jagdeo has a member of his own government on American sanctions, a high official within his government. And all he says today is that that has nothing to do with Guyana, has nothing to do with corruption. That's some American visa thing. I was blown away. I was blown away.
I mean, and we saw this here in terms of what the sanction is all about. One such official, PPP, they're talking about, May Thomas, was the permanent secretary to Guyana Minister of Home Affairs. And they're talking about her.
Yes.
She was sanctioned. They said here, they saying it, the U.S. Treasury Department is saying it, not Tom, not Ben Shap, not anybody there in the audience. But this is what the Treasury Department, U.S. Treasury Department, is saying. Quote, while permanent secretary to Guyana's Minister of Home Affairs, Thomas used her position to offer benefits to Mohammed's enterprise and Azruddin, among others, in exchange for cash payments and high-value gifts. That is what they are saying. We're not the ones that's saying it. But why do you suppose that Jagdeo continues to live in a bubble? He continues to deny this reality.
Well, that's what's scary, is that I think he feels like he's done such a good job in covering up the corruption that no one's ever going to figure it out. And he's just going to continue to lie and lie and lie, and it's fine. All the way to the point of saying that someone who's sanctioned by the U.S. government and is in his own government, there it is. You put it up on your screen. She's sanctioned, and it's in great detail why she's being sanctioned. For him to say there's nothing to see there's nothing going on, that's a problem. Okay. And you can't have a high level government official within your own party, within your own government, doing the type of stuff that she's been sanctioned for and not deal with it. And that's the problem. They haven't dealt with it. What you have instead is they're getting mad at Muhammad, right? But you have to ask yourself a quick question. And I've always asked this myself as well. It's the government who's in charge down there. It's not the Mohammeds who are in charge. The government's in charge. And Jagdeo is one of the guys who's been leading that government. And so what if there's a situation in Guyana where businessmen like the Mohammeds want to do business, but they're told flat out by the government, you can do business, but you have to pay us. Well, what do the Mohammeds do? I mean, not do business? So, because if they're not going to pay, someone will pay, right? And so I think that's the issue here, is that Jagdeo is sitting on top of a very corrupt government. He's trying to blame the Mohammeds for the corruption, but ultimately it's the government that's corrupt. And if it's not the Mohammeds who are going to be paying people off, it's going to be somebody else paying the government officials off. And since he can't even in his press conference admit that his own government officials have been sanctioned for corruption, for taking bribes, according to the U.S. government, since he can't even admit that in his own press conference, it tells me that he's so detached from reality, he can't deal with the corruption. To him, it's not even corruption. To him, it's the normal way of doing business. And that's scary.
You know, it's not that he can't deal with the corruption. I agree with you, because he plays a major role in the corruption. Every single so-called businessman in Guyana has to pay bribes to Jagdeo and the PPP by virtue of checks, as though they're giving something to the party. We heard from this guy. Let's remind folks again.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su. Oh, Su.
So, Tom, this question of Su has never been answered. What's happening? But yet every single week he tries to make it look as though he's clean and he's working along with the American officials in the Trump administration. He feels these people like him, right? I bet. What's happening? He feels they really like him.
That's what's worrisome here. You know, like he doesn't. I'm telling you, like just watching 2 hours of that guy today lets me know that he doesn't see that there's a corruption problem in Guyana. For him, this is normal operating procedure to have a high-level government official to be sanctioned by the U.S. government for bribery. that's just normal operating, that there's nothing to see here. He really believes that, right? And so that's a sad state of affairs for the nation, because if you look at the opposition, that's one of the things. If you look at what the opposition's been putting out, they really don't hit hard and specific on the corruption aspect. And I can understand why. They may not have the expertise, right? And so other countries like the United States, Canada, the UK, we have better investigative tools to be able to get after corruption. So maybe the opposition just hasn't had the expertise, but I can tell you this is probably the biggest issue facing the country, is the corruption. And the opposition has to find a way to bring in experts to be able to get to the bottom of what's going on there. And they don't have to be empowered to do that. You can bring in experts as is now and go after some of this stuff and start exposing some of this stuff, because until the corruption is dealt with, Guyana is going to be in a position where it's always on the edge of not being a complete thriving country. It's going to be something that's going to be on the edge of falling apart. And from today's news conference, Jagdeo, man, he's in no position to deal with corruption at all. He doesn't even think there is any.
Yeah, of course, and he doesn't even want to talk about serious allegations of an account in a Chinese bank out in China, billions of dollars. He doesn't even want to talk about that, and we all understand why. But he's living in a bubble. The Mohammeds, they seem to be living in a bubble as well. And here's 30 seconds of the bubble that they're living in, thinking that the sanctions by the U.S. is just innocuous. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, no, it doesn't. Listen to this crap.
Good afternoon, everyone. 9 months ago, myself, Nazar Mohammed, and my son, Azruddin Mohammed, along with our two companies, have been sanctioned by OFAC. OFAC is an arm, the financial arm of the American government. And I have been very silent on this. To say that it hasn't affected us is an understatement. Indeed, it has affected us greatly, because our entire business, actually come to a standstill. What I want to tell you, because I've seen, read, and heard from people, some very senior people within the political structure, who has been deliberately misrepresenting what this sanction is about, ostracizing us. The sanction is about myself and my son and our companies cannot do business with American citizens and American companies. We have been in the oil and gas sector very early, and we have lots of clients from various American companies who had to leave after the sanction respectfully. We were providing great service for them, but they had to leave, which is understandable. But to say that anyone who associates themselves with the Mohammeds would be sanctioned is ludicrous. Azruddin Mohammed, since after this.
Yeah, forget about that. But in my opinion, another form of misrepresentation. They are trying to play down the sanction. That little piece of what you heard there, Tom, your take, please, sir.
Yeah, I mean, look, the sanctions have hit them hard, okay? And the Mohammeds are in a bad spot. And look, it's a unique thing for them, because what they're being accused of doing, is corrupting the government of Guyana. So it's going to be hard for them to do business with anyone in the nation, because of the fact that they're being sanctioned for doing business within the nation, right? That business that they're doing isn't just business. It's a part of a bribery scheme. It's a part of bribery scheme to be able to get weapons that they're not supposed to get. It's a bribery scheme to be able to smuggle gold and other things out of the country, right? According to the U.S. government, according to our sanctions, that's what's happening. So yeah, it's difficult for them to be able to say that, oh, these sanctions are ludicrous when it comes to anything they want to do inside of the nation, when that's not the case, because what they're doing inside of the nation is paying off government officials. And that's part of the reason why they're on the sanctions. And that will lead to other people getting sanctioned if they're doing business with them, because they're doing the corruption stuff. That's the issue, man. And that's what they are skirting around. It's almost as if the people there in Guyana in charge, like, it's almost as if the corruption isn't a thing. Like, they don't even recognize that it's an issue. They don't see that that's at the heart of the reason why the sanctions are happening. It's at the heart of the reason why people's visas are being revoked. The reason why they're having the issues they're having across the board is because of the corruption. And that's the one thing none of them want to talk about, including the Mohammeds.
And it's not just about the corruption in Guyana. It's using serious allegations about, outside of money laundering, serious allegations of links to terrorists and terrorism groups and all these different things. Serious allegations.
Well, that's the problem with the corruption, right? That what happens whenever you have corruption in a government is the terrorists come, because terrorists are going to go to the nations where they know there's peak corruption, because that way it's harder to track down what they're doing. You see, the terrorists don't want to go to a nation that's run properly, that isn't corrupt, because they're going to get caught. So what do? They go to the most corrupt places. And so that's why they have to realize in Guyana, the people in charge have to realize you cannot be corrupt in the situation that you're in. Okay. First of all, it's not necessary, because the nation has so much wealth and such a small population. Everyone's going to be fine if you just make sure the system is fair and secure. Okay, first of all. But the big thing is that when you do the corruption, because the nation is so wealthy, you're inviting the worst of the worst to come into your country and to steal from the people and to murder, rape, pillage, do all types of stuff there in country. And so that's why the corruption has to end. And that's why that has to be something that everyone has to be speaking about all the time, because it's that corruption that's bringing all of the other problems to Guyana.
Serious corruption in Guyana. And you guys have to be extra careful. One of the things that the elder Mohammed tried to blindfold the nation is by saying that no one around them has ever lost their visas or have been sanctioned other than them. He failed to remind them that Mae Thomas was sanctioned as a result of her connection to them and other things. He failed to say that Mae Thomas also, with linkage to them, lost her visa. And there are others, we are told, who have lost their visas as well. I don't know, Tom, but how dangerous it is for even folks to take gifts and these sort of things from the Mohammeds.
Yeah, I mean, they can't do it. You know, people, because of the way that business is done in Guyana, and because there's so much corruption, it's impossible to take gifts from them. It's impossible to do business with them without ending up on some type of list that the U.S. government has, where we're going to be looking at you. Our government's going to look at you, because they know now that, hey, there's a corruption problem in that nation, and the corruption problem is headed up by a handful of people. The Mohammeds are right there at the top. And unless that stuff is dealt with, you're going to have a situation in Guyana which is not going to be good for anybody. So the microscope is on them. And so anything they do, there's going to be a list. There are going to be people looking. And so, yeah, they're in a precarious position right now.
A precarious position indeed. 48 minutes after 9 o'clock, you're listening to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benchop, alongside Thomas Anderson with us tonight. Tom, as we move back to the Melissa Atwell situation, there is something that I saw. There's this article that I saw in one of the crappy newspapers out there in Guyana. They had a gathering to show solidarity and to call for the freedom of Melissa Atwell, who's currently sitting in a correctional facility, immigration facility out in Louisiana. At no time did anybody at this gathering for Melissa Atwell out in Guyana mentioned anything about the Trump administration. It's not that they were afraid to mention Trump's name, mind you, but Trump wasn't a relevant issue at this gathering. But yet the corrupt PPP regime, through their wishy-washy newspaper called the Chronicle, said in a big headline, opposition protest against Trump administration's immigration policy. Blatant lie. But why you think again Jagdeo and the likes of Kwame McCoy, who has been accused and convicted and all these things, why do you think they're actually peddling this lie?
Well, that's because of that lobbying firm the PPP hired. That's who's doing this, because they know that the best way to get Trump to make a poor decision is to get a newspaper headline with a picture with a bunch of black people on it and just put in his face in the White House. And all of a sudden he's going to think, oh, he's going to get all angry. And so that's what they do to Trump, right? And that's what everyone knows now, is that you want to get him mad, then just get a newspaper. It doesn't matter where it's from in the world, to get a headline with his name in it, criticizing him, and put some black skin there. And guess what? Trump's going to be on a rampage now. It's time for them to pay the price. He doesn't care what the facts are. He doesn't care. All he knows is that this is a newspaper. They're attacking Trump, and it's a bunch of black guys. So yeah, that's a problem. And so that's what you get if you're the PPP and you're paying a lobbying firm in the United States. This is the result, right? That's directly who's doing this. I can guarantee you that. And they're going to be doing more of this. This is a strategy they're going to use, and you can tell already. And mark my words, okay, going forward, you will see more and more of this, where anything that the opposition does as far as protest goes, they're going to make it seem like it's against Trump when it has nothing to do with Trump, only because they want to use those headlines to put him in Trump's face to make him make bad decisions. That's what they're going to do, and that's the target here, and that's what that lobbying firm was hired to do.
Okay, but I'm sure Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and these guys will have their daily report from the state in terms of the cables that go in on a daily basis to counter the lies of the PPP. Will they be listening to what the State Department officials
none of that matters. Trump doesn't listen to. Trump doesn't read intelligence briefings. He doesn't read entire articles. He doesn't read hardly at all. He's a guy who likes to watch TV and look at pictures and stuff.
I'll probably listen to that guy. What's his name? Elon Musk.
Yeah. I mean, he's not, he's the same way too, man. Just quickly skim through some stuff. They're not interested in facts. And it doesn't matter what Marco Rubio says, okay? Because at the end of the day, Trump doesn't have any respect for little Marco. That's what he called him, little Marco. Okay?
Why do you think that he doesn't have any respect for little Marco?
Because little Marco has bent the knee to him, right? Little Marco went from saying that Trump is a crook and a villain and that no one should ever vote for the man, to now bending the knee and bowing down to him, right? So, of course, Trump has no respect for him whatsoever at all.
Oh, Marco. Now, listen to this here, Tom. Again, the Guyana Chronicle, quoting Melly Mel's opinion that after Trump was convicted of 34 felony convictions, of course, they now put, again, and this supports your point with the lobbying group, that if they have these sort of articles, send them to the desk of Donald Trump and others, say, look what these black folks in Guyana are saying and doing to you. Look what these opposition guys are doing to you, Trump. And so Melly Mel held an opinion. I'm not sure, but they're claiming that this came out from Melly Mel's page that says here, quote, Trump might be going to jail before her. Melly Mel said that in 2024. This is in the Guyana Chronicle.
That's right.
Controlled by the government of Guyana again.
Oh, yeah. That's the lobbying firm they hired, man. This is what they do. They're going to go through all of her tweets, all of her Facebook posts, anything she's ever said. They're going to go out there and get private investigators. They're going to get people to, get recordings. They're going to do videos. They're going to do all this stuff, right? And they're going to bend it and twist it in a way so that when Trump gets to see it, it makes it look like Guyana is this place where Jagdeo and the PPP are trying to hold back the black savages from destroying the land. That's what they're going to try to do, right? And that's the picture they're painting, and that's just what it's all about, man. Like this is the game. This is how it's played now in Washington D.C. And this lobbying firm is playing it perfectly. Like this is how you do it.
Put all of the black faces there and paint the opposition to say to Trump, as you have said, look at what these black folks are doing in Guyana. Look at what these black folks are saying about you, Trump. Look at what they're saying about your administration. I get you there. I get you loud and clear there, Tom. Loud and clear. But what should the opposition do? Can the opposition do anything to counter the official opposition, mind you, in Guyana?
Well, look, there's a lot they can do, because here's the thing. The opposition, and this is one of the things that came up in the in the press conference, where Jagdeo said that when Granger was in office, that they did nothing for the country, that all they did was try to pass legislation that was to save the rainforest, and it didn't help anybody do anything. And I said to myself, well, actually, it was Granger who signed the deal with Exxon. Like without Granger, there wouldn't even be an oil deal going on right now. So this idea that they did nothing, all of the oil wealth that Jagdeo is handing out in cash grants and stuff, that came because of Granger's deal that he signed with ExxonMobil. So I don't know if Granger was all about saving the rainforest and trying to do a kumbaya thing, why did he sign a deal with Exxon? It makes, come on now. So that's the type of stuff that needs to be pointed out by the opposition, that, hey, when we're in power, we're not against oil and gas. We're not against exploration of resources. We're all for it. What we want, though, is a balanced approach where the people of the nation get a big lion's share of the benefits of those natural resources that they were blessed with. That's it. Right. And so that has nothing to do with Trump or anyone else, but that's the word they have to get out, number one. And number two, there are things that Trump can support as president that can help the nation of Guyana. And those types of things the opposition should probably be pointing out, right? To show that, it's not whoever's in office in the United States, the opposition is willing to work with, whether it's Trump or whoever. They're not against Trump. They want a very good relationship with Trump, I'm sure. But that needs to be said, and has to be said more often than not, because clearly the PPP strategy with their new lobbying firm is to paint them as anti-Trump, which they're not.
And who could be more anti-Trump than Jagdeo, being all up in bed with China, being all up in bed with Iran, being all up in bed with those other individuals? We know those individuals, Tom. Who could be more a threat to America than Jagdeo and the PPP? Remember, the PPP has a history of, I think, firebombing the U.S. Embassy in the 60s or something like that. Lots and lots of things. Who could be more of an enemy of America and this current administration than the PPP? Wasn't it a sitting minister of government under the PPP regime that insulted America, insulted a U.S. ambassador, Priya Manichan? All these manner of things they do. So I bet Marco Rubio should know all of this. Trump and his boys should know all of this as well. But Tom, they're talking about, the PPP is talking about everything else. The Chronicle, the wishy-washy Chronicle, the people no longer buy that newspaper, and they shouldn't buy it either. They're not talking about this, Tom. The amount of cocaine being smuggled in to Guyana by friends of the PPP regime, friends of Jagdeo, friends of Irfan Ali. Well, this one here went to Africa. But tons and tons of cocaine through Guyana into the United States of America, mainly under the PPP regime. But let's talk about this 6.3 tons of cocaine supposedly came out of Guyana, somewhere out in Africa there. What is your take on this, and why, again, the PPP is so quiet on these issues?
Well, yeah, that's because this can't be a part of their reality, because Jagdeo can't admit that there's rampant corruption happening in his government, right? And so they don't want to admit that that corruption brings drug smuggling. Of course it does. If you're a drug smuggler, which country are you going to use to smuggle drugs? A country that doesn't have as much corruption and has a very strong military and it has a very strong port security, or a country that, you know, is very corrupt and doesn't have any security at all? Who will you choose? And so it's one of those situations where they happen to be one of the easiest places to smuggle things out of. And on top of that, they're willing to take cash to turn the other way, turn a blind eye is what's happening. So yeah, they don't want to talk about this because this is what comes with running a highly corrupt government in a nation like Guyana, right? And this is the danger that comes with it, because what this does is it creates an instability in the region and in the nation that puts everything at risk. And that's what Trump and these other officials need to realize, is that what the PPP is doing through their corruption is causing the entire region to be on the edge of collapsing because of the instability that they've created with their corrupt practices. This smuggling is just one piece of it. It's also smuggling of gold. It's also buying off other officials in neighboring countries. It's a disease. Okay, it's a problem. And these guys want to pretend as if there's no problem at all. And that's making it worse, actually.
A disease and a problem indeed. Corruption galore in Guyana, corruption under the PPP regime. We're hearing about lots and lots of human rights violations in Guyana under the corrupt PPP regime. Again, all of these things are happening again, but they're trying to divert attention right now. It's not going to happen, Jagdeo. You guys are a bunch of corrupt goons. It's not going to happen. There's some other thing I wanted to ask, but I guess we asked about that, the corruption and all manner of things. But how do you feel in terms of what we're hearing, that even though this woman has been sanctioned, a PPP official sanctioned by the United States Treasury Department, sanctioned, and it's over. But the way the Elder Mohammed said, oh gosh, sorry about his accent, man. It sounds as though he's saying something else, but the pain is too much. After making billions of dollars off of taxpayers and allegations of gold smuggling and all manner of things, of course it hurts, right? But what is your take on allegations that this woman is May Thomas is still being paid by the PPP regime, taxpayers' money? What is your take, please?
Well, I mean, I believe it's so, because that's why Jagdeo would pretend as if, you know, her issue is just something with the United States and a visa thing in his press conference today, right? Like he's making it out to be that whatever she was doing with the Bahamas was nothing from his perspective. And, you know,
but Tom, why would he want to dismiss it? Why would he want people to and I don't know who's going to believe it, that it was just a small issue, a minor issue with her and the Mohammeds?
Because if he can keep it between her and the Mohammeds, then it doesn't spread to everyone else in the PPP who are corrupt, including him, right? So he's trying to keep this thing cordoned off, and he's trying to keep it blocked off. And the best way to do it is to keep her quiet, keep her happy, you know, make the Mohammeds, push them as far away as possible, make them out to be the big enemy, right? And hopefully, you know, all of them just kind of disappear in the background and they can move on with their corrupt ways and no one will even remember any of this stuff happened. That's what he seems to be doing. But I don't know how you sweep this under the rug. I don't know how you sweep under the rug that one of your highest government officials has been sanctioned by the U.S. government for taking bribes in exchange for allowing people to smuggle stuff out of the country and to give people weapons licenses. What were those weapons for? What were they doing with those weapons? I mean, what was this? What was she doing? Helping someone set up a cartel inside the nation or something? Is that what was going on? We don't know. But the thing is the PPP hasn't gotten to the bottom of it. They don't care to get to the bottom of it. And it screams out loud. That's because they're all in on it. And they're just trying to basically find some scapegoats here. That's why I'm not defending the Mohammeds when I say, you know what? a lot of what they did, they had to do because the government makes them do it, because the government is that corrupt, right? So
And that's what forced some of these so-called businessmen to go and even bribe the police force, so that when crimes are committed, whether it's murders, drug smuggling, all these manner of things, serious allegations of these things, the police force themselves just corrupt. Some members, senior members of the Guyana police force, is simply just corrupt. But don't you think the PPP, Jagdeo, they believe that now that the U.S. has a new administration, a new sheriff in town, so to speak, is that they're going to turn their eyes on all these serious allegations of corruption in the PPP regime, under the PPP regime. That's what they're giving the impression, that the Trump administration doesn't care. They're going to turn a blind eye on it. Do you think that that's the case under the Trump administration, turning a blind eye?
Yeah, well, that's the goal, right? His goal is to reset the playing field here and make it out to be that they are pro-Trump and that the opposition is all black people who are anti-Trump and they're racist, right? And that what he's trying to do is hold the country together from all these corrupt black people who are trying to take it down. That's the image he's trying to portray, and he's hoping that over here in the United States in the Trump administration that they don't dig deep enough to figure out that he can't be trusted, that the PPP cannot be trusted, right? And that's the main reason why I come on the show and I speak, is because our people in the United States and the people of Guyana need to understand that the PPP cannot be trusted. Our government has to understand they can't be trusted at all, ever, period. No matter how many lobbyists they buy, no matter how many campaigns they do, no matter how much Jagdeo lies in his press conferences, they are never to be trusted ever. Because if you trust those guys, bad things are guaranteed to happen. It's just guaranteed, because they are that corrupt and it's that bad going on down there.
Extremely corrupt at the highest level. That's what's happening. And they're attempting to divert attention. Tom, your closing remarks, elections year in Guyana. What is your take? They're not, the opposition not speaking much about biometrics any longer. I noticed our friend in the audience, Rhonda Lane, says she's not going to go back out there. She had, voiced her opinion. One of those individuals from the PNC cursed her out. Typical nonsense from what's that woman name? Andrea or whatever her name is. Typical nonsense. They need to get their act together. But what is your take on this elections and no biometrics or whatever? In closing.
Well, the elections are a problem, and neither side seems to be interested in ensuring that there are elections that the people can believe in and that the world can recognize as being legitimate. The way that it's going now, no matter what happens, no matter what the result is, no one's going to be happy. Everyone's going to say that there was something wrong with this thing. And neither side is doing anything to try to make the situation better. So that's unfortunate, number one, right? But number two, the bigger issue going forward is how does the opposition? Here's one thing that Jagdeo said in his press conference today that was disturbing. Also, he said that he hopes that the APNU and the PNC never get in power ever again. That he's working to make sure they never get in power again. That's a big problem because what he's basically saying is he wants a PPP dictatorship. He wants to make it so that no other party can ever be in control of the government of Guyana other than the PPP. That's what he said today, word for word. That type of thinking and that type of approach, and that's how he implements his government. That type of approach is going to tear the country apart. You have to be in a position where opposition parties have a voice and have a legit opportunity to win an election. If you're in a position like Jagdeo and you're this close to election coming up soon in a few months, and you're stating that you're working hard every day to ensure that the other party never wins an election ever again, what does that mean? Does that mean that you are willing to rig elections? What's going on there? It was disturbing to hear. So that divide that's happening right now, somehow, some way, the people of Guyana have to vote in new leadership that can get away from that type of talk and that type of thinking, where politicians are trying to eliminate the other party from ever holding power ever again. the way it should be is that, hey, whatever party wins is the party that wins the election, is the party that best represents the people of Guyana. And over time, you will have parties taking turns holding power, because some parties rot away, some parties, veer off in the wrong direction. And when that happens, the other party comes in to step in to take over. And that should be the case. That should be the case in a healthy nation. So I'm hoping that the opposition can stand up, get up to the plate, do something about these elections here. But on top of that, find a way to be more competitive and find a way to be in a position where they're not being manipulated by a foreign lobbying firm to hurt their prospects going forward.
Well said, Tom. We already see what is happening, painting the opposition folks as though they are anti-American, which is not true. The only anti-American party in Guyana is the PPP. Surprisingly, they're just working because it's just it suits their interests, the corrupt PPP, Jagdeo, and their interests with little oil deal and the billions of dollars that they're wasting. They're giving to their friends and cronies, and some of their friends and cronies are basically financing terrorism in the world. That is a fact. Law enforcement agencies in the U.S. do know that. But again, opposition protests against Trump administration's immigration policy, that's a lie. That's just fake. And I hope that the folks in the opposition in Guyana would be able to deal with this. Tom, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon, right here on 107.1 FM.
Have a good night, everyone. Take care, Mark.
And to all of our listeners as well, thank you all so much. God bless you. We will return, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. And again, this racist article, I'm looking at the hair. The hairstyle looks like Melly Mel, but it's such a racist article. And every single time, this is what the Stabroek News does to Black women. Every single time, this is what they do to Black women. It has got to stop at some point in time. This woman goes to court. We don't know. The PPP is pretending as though they don't know. We already know they don't have the power. But what we do know is that they're paying a lobbyist 50,000 Guyana dollars. 50,000 US dollars. Sorry about that. Sound a little bit like the Ant's Nest here guy. Sorry. But 50,000 US dollars. Yet people are starving in Guyana under the corrupt PPP regime. Shame on Jagdeo. Shame on the PPP. Shame on Irfan Ali. Shame on those vagabonds. And yet they're talking about external threats. When the biggest threat for Guyana, the biggest threat for Guyanese is the PPP regime. The biggest threat for democracy is the PPP regime. And the party that is anti-America is the PPP regime. Jagdeo, they have an Irfan Ali, they have more of an allegiance to Iran, to China, and other countries. They are anti-America. God bless you all. See you back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. And again, we say a prayer for Melly Mel. She will be out. She will be out next Friday. I'm watching some of the comments. People just like to blah, blah, blah on social media. It's okay. It's okay. We're living in a social media era where blah, 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 blah. Everybody sung them right, blah, 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 blah. Oh, the judge this, oh, the judge that, oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, oh, that. God bless you all, man. I'm out of here. See you all tomorrow. Same place, same time. God bless you all. Every one of you. Except this traitor, except the biggest threat to Guyana, except the one who wants to sell a portion of Essequibo to Venezuela, Jagdeo. Y'all call that little boy, Jermaine Figueroa, and tell him to write about this.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area.
Did you guys hear that? He is telling you guys in Guyana to make a slight concession to Venezuela. A slight concession to Venezuela. he should have been charged with treason. But now he is upset because of something the AFC said. To hell with PPP. To hell with those clunks in the PPP regime. They only want people to support them, to make it look as though the people support the AFC and I believe the PNC and so forth. They are against what Venezuela is doing. They have said it on numerous occasions. But what the PPP wants, people to kiss their butts. Give me a break, man. But speaking of that, something Jagdeo does very well. This is the guy that y'all call a leader in Guyana. And excuse the little foul language by the other guy who is in Canada. Take a listen to this.
Please help me, who is
as I said
Slack
last week, Slack Bokta and the orders are going to...
Did I just hear right?
The same PPP haters, as I said last week, Slack Bokta and the orders...
Who the fuck is Slack Bokta?
The same PPP
Just imagine that crapo, Jagdeo, sitting at a press conference and all manner of things, that is all on his mind. Bokta. And come on, guys, come on. Y'all know why. All of y'all know why. Every single one of y'all know why. He's just at a so-called press conference, and all that is on his mind is Kwame or maybe Bond. That's all that's on his mind, you know. Take a listen. Is this what Guyana turned to, guys? Can't we do better in terms of leadership? These crapos?
Please help me, who is
as I
Slack
said last
Bokta?
week, Slack Bokta and the orders are going to...
Did I just hear right?
The same PPP haters, as I said last week, Slack Bokta and the orders...
Who the fuck is Slack Bokta?
The same PPP haters, as I said last week, Slack Bokta and the orders...
Guyana got jokes, boy. Guyana got fucking jokes. Who the fuck is Slack Bokta?
The same PPP haters, as I said last...
Well, the PPP has a lot of them. They love them too. Jagdeo, that's all on his mind. All on his mind. And he knows what he's talking about when he mentions that Slackbox. He knows what he's talking about.
He said valid votes counts. Votes cast must more votes cast must mean valid votes. Sorry. And
all right, guys, we're out of here. Can't say much more, but we're out of here, guys. Slack. He knows what he's talking about. Another example while we close off. God bless you.
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Boxer, let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk, body walk, body walk, everything. Body walk, truck, body walk, body walk, body walk, everything. Body, listen. Body jump, body jump, body jump, everything. Body jump, body jump, body.